good evening. Welcome to Red Army TV. Thank you very much for joining us. Joined tonight by two fantastic, huge Boro fans, both season ticket holders. We've got regular on the show, Marc Yafano, and a bit of a newer face, but quite welcome to have you, Adam Bragg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A lot to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about the Villa game last week. I know it was an awful showing from the lads, but we've got to go through it again, unfortunately. Dissect it a little bit and see what we can glean from that. There's a bit of speculation this week about Tony Pulis. There's been a lot of chat on forums and social media. We've cast our own poll out, so again we'll touch on that. International break, so we're going to look at kind of what that might mean for us preparing for the next few games. But first of all, Adam, did you go to the Villa game?
I was there. I was actually in the Villa end.
Were you really? Yeah. Tell us a bit more. Tell us a bit more what it was like.
I thought I was going to get a corporate event, but it wasn't. It was just in the Villa end. But
right,
it was interesting to see the game from a Villa point of view.
Right. Okay.
To watch it I was almost like a neutral. And we were awful. There's no other way to describe it. It's funny enough, I was in the concourse and there was a lot of Villa fans all getting their bets together. And there was about 10 of them all saying, oh yeah, 3-1, 2-1. And as soon as I heard the team, the first thing I said to them, lads, Middlesbrough will not score today. Yeah. Middlesbrough will not score. But you can put a 0 there straight away.
Yeah, yeah.
That lineup was there to steal a draw at best.
Yeah, yeah. There seems to have been a lot of that, Mark. Do you not think, especially with the last couple of home games?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with Adam. I mean, I've got a couple of friends down in Birmingham, ex-work colleagues of mine, ring me every time we play Villa. But I was exactly the same, mate. I thought, as soon as I seen I call it the old lineup because he's gone back to how he wants to. Tony wants to play. You ain't going to score, and obviously with Villa in a bit of form the way they have, with Grealish coming back, for me there was always only one winner when I seen that team, and it pains me to say it as a Boro fan. But as soon as I seen it come out, it popped up on my phone, and I thought, this is going to be a long afternoon.
It's going to be painful. Yeah.
Well, Tony Pulis has got an issue in my mind in that he looks for any excuse to revert to type.
Yeah, we touched on this on Monday, didn't we?
Last season he found a formula that worked with Bamford. The first opportunity he got, Bamford was out of the team, and Justeg got a chance on the bench in the playoffs. Yeah, yeah. This season it's happened a couple of times. We've stumbled across a formation that seems to work, and the first chance he reverts back to his tried and trusted.
Yeah, yeah. It's all for goals about me. For me, it's all about goals. Sorry, I mixed my sentence up a little bit there. We're just not scoring goals. We're not scoring goals, and you're quite right that going back to the team that isn't scoring goals isn't going to improve us or make us any better. Speaking of goals, you know, we've got to look at the Villa goals again and kind of try and see where we went wrong and what we can do to improve. I hate to point the finger, and I certainly hate to point the finger at George Friend because I think he's been a fantastic servant at the club and he loves the area and he does a lot for charity and all that kind of thing. But what was his performance like last week? What did you make of it?
It was a prime example of what the problem is with George Friend at the moment. I think he's been a fantastic servant. He gives every inch of it, everything he can, every ounce of energy he's got. He's just not got the legs for it anymore. It looks sometimes like his brain is telling his feet to do something, and his feet are stumbling over. Yeah, you know that people describe it as an all-action style. I like to think it's an all-action style because he's not controlling the ball properly. Or he's not in the right position in the first instance. He was at fault perhaps for one of the goals, perhaps the second, and he was stood just watching at the third goal. So yeah, I think George Friend is really starting to curtail off.
I mean, he had Mark, we talked about this on the show on Monday, and we talk about it pretty much every week, really. George Friend is kind of it pains me to say it, but he is a bit of a weak link at times. He doesn't really look comfortable on the ball, does he?
I mean, the big thing is as well, I mean, how quick was the gaffer quick to get him back in the side as well?
100%.
We brought him in when he wasn't fully fit.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to that substitution when, you know, when he brought him on 60-odd minutes for a striker. There's 2 points to George Friend at the minute. I totally agree. I think we may see him maybe move on because I just don't think he has got the legs for a fast and furious championship anymore. No. The other thing is as well, he's coming back after an injury and in my eyes doesn't look fit. Doesn't look fit at all. It's as if he's got the armband, he's the club captain, he must play. Now, I don't know where the gaffer stands on that. And like I say, we go back to that substitution, what people are still reeling about. 62 minutes bringing a striker off for George, just to introduce him. There was no logic in that, just to introduce him. So yeah, I agree. I think, and you know what, it is horrible to say I agree with you, Chris, because you know, he's a nice bloke. He does a lot for charity. He does a lot for the area.
He's a top bloke,
Never ever speaks badly of the area.
Ambassador, isn't he?
Yeah, really. And I just think he's probably letting himself down as well. Look, he's an educated guy.
He looks as though he knows that as well.
He's an educated guy. He knows he's not. He knows he's not on top at the minute.
Yeah. He looks disappointed in himself whenever there's a goal or a mistake or he loses the ball. He looks really, really disappointed with himself. It does hark back a little bit to the point you've both made that Tony Pulis does just revert back to type. Perfect example I'm thinking of that's just popped up now is can you remember when Woodgate was club captain and he wasn't playing? There was no rush to get him back in the team just because he was the club captain. You know, we were quite happy to play Ledbetter, who was the sort of stand-in at the time. It doesn't seem to be that.
Well, the same happened with Ledbetter, didn't he? I mean, he was club captain for a long time, but he spent a long time on the bench and then sort of fizzled out.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and that's how George got the armband. Look, I don't know who's going to take over club captain. I just think that, you know, he's not doing himself any justice, George, and obviously, ultimately, it goes back to the gaffer. You're absolutely both right. He just any chance revert to that one up top.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, that one up top is always going to be in his eyes, Ugle.
Yeah,
because definitely. You know he's the type of player, and let's be honest, he brought him in, didn't he? So, Ugle will always be the one up top. For me, we stumbled across a formation with the wing backs and the two up front, which excited fans. It certainly excited me, and it wasn't a tactical genius move. That it was just we stumbled across it through injury.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he just doesn't like change.
You'd much rather see that, knowing that Villa are in a rich vein of form, and John McGinn is by far the best footballer in this league at the moment, and Grealish is starting to come back from an injury.
Grealish is fantastic. Yeah.
I would rather we'd have gone there and had a go at them and got beat 3-0 and created a few chances and missed a few chances, than just line up 5 at the back and say, well, come on then.
Well,
come on then.
The thing
that seems to be our style. That's our go-to style, isn't it? You know,
the thing about Villa though, they let goals in. Because they like to play flowing football, and especially with Grealish back in the side, they like to attack. You know, it's all free-flowing forward football, but they do let goals in. So, and again, my two mates from Birmingham, the first thing they said to me is, you know, we're good going forward, but you know, you'll get a couple of goals. And they were mentioning Fletcher to me, and he didn't start.
He didn't even play. Yeah.
He didn't play. I just think against a team like Villa, you know they're going to come and attack you at home. He's watched the same games as we have. You know, you know they're going to attack you at home. I'd like to see two up front and try him on a counter at least.
Fletcher, in his last few games, obviously he's scored a few goals, but his general link-up play, especially with Sambalonga,
he's growing in confidence, hasn't he?
Yeah, he seems to find space in the channels. So if we're playing someone like Villa who's going to attack and leave space, perfect.
The other thing that's been vitally important with playing the two wing backs is that both of them are naturally attack-minded players. In Saville and
Howson.
Yeah,
their full-backs looked outstanding against us. Whereas if they'd had something to think about, the two of them getting forward, that makes them automatically take a step back. And we just didn't give ourselves the chance or the opportunity to even get into their halves. We just literally put 5 at the back and said, come and take the game to us.
It was just negative from the... I mean, again, my opinion, it was just negative from the off.
The
fans who were there felt that, you know, that they felt it was negative by Tony starting like that. I think that it then breeds into the players that it's a negative style of football.
Well, I felt for Ryan Shotton, because their first goal, straight away they had an opportunity down their left-hand side where Shotton was, and then again their first goal came from Shotton's position. I feel for Shotton because he's been asked to play in the centre of defence, the left of centre, the right of centre in a 3. He's been asked to play wing-back, and then at the weekend, what was that position all about?
Well,
it was literally a 5th full-back, a 5th defender.
He's had to come back and prove himself as well, which... To be fair, George Friend hasn't.
He's quite a bad injury.
Yeah. I mean, the statistics don't make for better reading. 4 shots on goal for Middlesbrough, 1 on target through the whole game. If you compare that, we spoke before we came on air, if you compare that with Villa's, who had 5 shots on target, 3 goals.
We do have a big issue at the moment, don't we? Just a quick point. We're the 4th worst chance converter, but we're the 6th best chance creator. There's definitely an issue with converting chances.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is it better finishing? Is it creating better chances? Mark, what do you think? Does it need to be more clinical?
I certainly don't think it's confidence, like Pulis came out and said, because, you know, for me, who then do you blame if it's confidence? Do you blame the player? Do you blame the coach?
Absolutely.
He's the man there to instill the confidence.
Yeah.
But there is an issue. I don't think he trusts any of our strikers. Is the big issue.
No.
Yeah, it's a very good point. We've all seen Hugo will go clean through on goal. You know, maybe he wants a bit more time, or he needs a bit less time. He needs to be a bit more instinctive. The same with Assombalonga. It's one of those things where you're wondering what kind of chances do we need to create? What kind of chances are the strikers comfortable with? We're going to come on to, as I said, a little bit about Tony Pulis in the second half. But for now, thank you very much for joining us, and we're going to take a quick break.
Worst game I've been in. Worst game I've been in, honestly. Like, look at players they've got, and no one was trying to do it at all.
Welcome back to part 2 Red Army TV. As I said, first half we were joined by Marc Yafano and Adam Bragg. You've heard a little bit about what we had to say regarding the Villa match. Let's just listen to the fan rants, see what the fans said.
Worst game I've been in. Worst game I've been in, mate. Honestly, like, look at players they've got, and no one was trying to do it at all. You know, he brings on Fletcher and Britt, and we should have just started with that team.
When I'm at work, if people have got a problem, they'll say something about this, and that they won't accept what I put in. If I don't put a good effort in, it won't get accepted at all. It's not fair enough. When I put in a poor shift and they're not accountable to anyone, it's not right.
Starter lineup is horrible, mate. Jordan Hugo up front on his own, isolated, right? Isolated.
This is the worst possible.
And he's got the two top goal scorers on the bench, Ashley Fletcher, Britt Assombalonga.
Never in the game, outclassed. We had 2 pretty good chances to score, but didn't take them. They're a way better team than us. Why they're not above us in the league?
Doesn't make for good hearing, does it? Those were the comments from the Red Army coach away to Villa. We've got no coach going to Swansea, but we will have a coach coming back for the Bolton game. Just speaking of post-match comments, I've got some of Tony's here. We've underlined a couple of points here. He said those were 3 goals that were unlike us to concede. Yeah. Adam, what do you think of that? Does that ring true, or was it just goals we shouldn't have let in general?
I think a bit of both. I know the point he's trying to make. They were sloppy. We had a warning of the first goal coming, with the point I was making about Shotton earlier, and we're not normally that weak. But the point I was making about Shotton, having played in a number of different positions, you can't ask someone to keep chopping and changing and moving around, bringing people in when we've had a formation that seems to work. For me, it was like we said earlier, as soon as you saw the team, we were in for trouble.
Yeah, I think for the second goal, it looked as if we kind of stepped off him a bit. Do you think that maybe a little bit of that's come from Mark? The Daniel Ayala incident, you know, he doesn't want to maybe put himself out quite as much.
I just thought, every Boro fan, including Tony Pulis, must have knew what Villa are like at home with Jack Grealish back in the side. it's very forward-thinking football.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched them a few times. I've watched them with Grealish out the side, by the way, and it was a bit side to side, which would have probably suited us better using that type of formation. But
he is a very direct player, isn't he? But you're right. We should have.
With him back in the side, it's as if it builds their players up another 20%.
They all look to move off him. There's a couple of times he was the driving force with a couple of little 1-2s and little triangles. They know that he's going to make the move. And I think sometimes the footballer knows that their teammate's going to make a run. They'll try the forward play. They'll try the forward pass, and he made the difference.
I mean, looking at the goals. I mean, for me, there was two blatant errors by the Boro. You know, and unfortunately, we've touched on it. George was involved in both of them.
Yeah.
The last one, he just got caught ball watching. I mean, as soon as Adoma comes on, you're thinking straight away he's going to score.
Yeah.
You know, I did.
It's the curse of the
justice. You're like, oh God. But I mean, I just thought he just got caught ball watching. You know, Adoma nipped in. You know,
it was nice of him not to celebrate though. That didn't rub salt in the wounds. That was
well,
all right.
You know, I think Adoma loves the club, and again in January we were sat here, and he was linked to come back in January. Not January, the transfer window.
Yeah.
He was linked to come back and sort of finish the season with us. But
I think any one of us would have probably taken him back with open arms.
Yeah,
especially, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, especially considering the Downing situation. You know, do we need that wide player? Don't calm down, Mark, calm down. The other thing that I think he'd said is, and this baffled me a little bit, was there's been a flatness around the club since the defeat against Preston. Well, we lost the week before, so it's been going on a little bit longer than that, I think.
Yeah.
On that subject, Darren Moore at West Brom was sacked after 4 games lost on the
bizarre,
trot.
wasn't it, really?
It was a bit bizarre, but I think it kind of shows that teams at or around our level that need to make that extra little step, there's a lot of pressure on there. We've lost now 3 in a row. We talked a little bit about Tony Pulis, and you know, we ran a poll on the website as well. Whether we stick with him till the end of the season, or whether we kind of put someone into him, or you know, what do we do? Adam, what's your thoughts on that?
I personally, I've had enough of Tony Pulis. He had a lot of goodwill on my part because I think he did a fantastic job with the squad he inherited. He made us solid. He gave us a purpose. We started the season in a similar vein, but he's run out of steam. Now, if you look back over Tony Pulis' teams over the last 10 years, he's very good at making an impact. He's very good at making teams hard to beat and making them tough. We're in the Championship. We're not in the Premier League. So trying to get to 40 points and nick points here and there isn't the same as having to go places and score goals.
It's not going to work,
It's not the same type of football. He's not the right man for this job. All of my goodwill that I had for him, and I'm feeling this from people around me, is starting to diminish.
Yeah.
Personally, if he didn't have a contract that was up in the summer anyway, I would be saying it's time maybe just to say, thank you, Tony, you've done a great job.
Yeah.
Let's get someone in.
And for me, that's the point.
Yeah.
You know, because what is it? Must be 11 weeks left of the season.
There's not many.
I mean, so about 11 weeks left of the season. For the Boro now to cut him away, it's probably going to cost us money.
Yeah.
Money that we haven't got. Let's be honest. You know, you might as well let him see 11 weeks out, regardless of where we finish. Playoffs just fall out. And in my mind, I don't think he wants to stay. And that's only my own opinion. I don't think he wants to stay, even if they do well in the playoffs, because he's then thinking, have we got money to go on?
Well, he's found it tough to get the kind of players he wants, and he's been completely open about it. And I do get that. We haven't been able to sign the players we want. Has it been players not wanting to play for him?
Well,
perhaps.
It could be a double-edged sword. You know, there is that argument. You know, people might not necessarily be attracted to Tony Pulis and his brand of football, and I use that phrase loosely because we talked about it early on in the season. That brand of football that we were expecting didn't arrive. But also, even if we did want to keep him and offer him a new contract in the summer, is he going to want to stay for a club that can't give him the support that he wants?
I think that
to
would
progress?
be clear in his mind. 100% be on his mind, and
Well,
I wouldn't.
Remember, he's walked away from clubs and used that as an excuse. You know, they promised me money and they promised me this and they promised me that, and they didn't come up for it. So, and I think his words along the lines were, "I done my part."
Yeah,
and you know, and that's how he's left with the clubs.
Yeah, to be fair, I think if he left at the end of the season and he said that, I wouldn't have had any arguments.
He doesn't need the money to stay, does he?
Exactly. Yeah, I think the club could have done more on the recruitment side of things, which we've talked about quite a lot, to sort of give him at least more chance of getting the target.
I think I said on the transfer sort of deadline show that we did that it needed around about a blend of probably 3 players just to make us try and kick on for that second spot. We've always been punching above our weight.
With that squad we have.
It kind of. I'm going to come on to Stuart Downing. because again, it's a backroom decision, it's a business decision from the club. You know, Adam, you said he came on against Villa and he was the best player on the park for a spell. We need to get this situation sorted out. I'm not for a minute saying he's going to be the first player on the team sheet, he's going to be starting every game, but to have the option to bring him into the game earlier, I think it's something that we definitely need to sort out.
I mean, nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what the club is saying, we don't know what Stuart Downing's saying, but for me, there's almost, if I was Stuart Downing, this is me personally, I've made a lot of money in my life, I've got a lot of money. He could go down as a Boro legend if he just said, you know what, I will play for nothing for the next 9 games. What's 11 weeks on his wages? He could easily say, don't worry about it, just so we could play him and try and get over the line. He could go down in history as a Boro legend. Why is his friends and family, or I don't know, why are people not saying to him, just Stuart, just do it, just for the end of the season? I don't know. We don't know the ins and outs.
I've not thought of that perspective of it, actually. Yeah, I've not thought of that. Yeah, Mark, I wouldn't want to leash you. You've got a minute and a half.
Look, you know what I think. I just think it's a really bad business move. I think it was a bad business move by the club. Do I agree with Adam that a player should have to do that? No, he was given that contract. He was prized away from a Premier League club.
Yeah, I'm not saying he should have to, but it's an option. Yeah.
But for me, you are right. He's an option, and he would go down, by the way, as a Boro legend for doing that. I just don't think it's on the player. I think Tony Pulis, in his after-match press conference, near enough vented his anger, saying he quoted as Down and being the best player on the park for the Boro.
And his figures are incredible, the amount of work he gets through.
He does.
For me, I just think he would start in Pulis' first 11.
Yeah. Just briefly before we go, guys, Preston North End. We don't often talk about Preston North End on a Boro show, but we're going to do it. They're doing a retro day for Gary Parkinson. We've got an event, or there's an event planned in Middlesbrough sometime in May that's quite in its infancy, but we're going to be coming to you with some news on that one as soon as we can. What we want you to do is search for GoFundMe, Fans for Parky, get involved, put some money forward and help a Boro legend. I'm sure you guys agree. You'll have probably seen him play a lot more than I did.
Just. I was young.
Unfortunately, I did, and he wasn't a good player.
So have a look, get involved. Every little helps, as they say. But thanks very much for joining us tonight. I think we've covered pretty much all we needed to. Sorry we talked about Villa so much. I know it wasn't great to relive, but we'll see you next week on Red Army TV.